Hello and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3 Iron, and I just wanted to take a second to talk about the 3.7.4 deployment downtime incident report. Just really quickly, had a couple of things to say about this. I've seen some people complaining that there was downtime in the realm. I've seen some people complaining and read some people complaining that downtime was too long or that there was lost progress. I'm not going to read the entire downtime incident report like we typically do when we're reporting on stuff. I'm going to link it down below in the video description for you to enjoy and for you to read. I just really quickly wanted to point out a couple of things, really in response to people complaining or objecting to this whole entire incident. Obviously, the first thing to say here is that whenever there's an incident that occurs inside a game, regardless of how terrible the game itself is, or how terrible a track record a company has, the desire on the part of companies is not for their products and for their works of art, for their craft to break. That's not the intention of anyone. And if you think it is, then you've got to make an argument proving why it is that there would be intentional internal sabotage amongst a particular company, why they would try to sabotage, to self-harm their own product, their own company, their own bottom line, their own customer base. You'd have to go out of your way to prove that. Nobody is trying to break their own stuff that they're working on every single day. Does that mean that things don't ever break? No, it means that things do break, and that there are ways in which that are more professional and less professional of handling when things break. So don't have time today to shoot a really long topic or a long form video running down everything in here, but I just wanted to say this. So any company that does these four things, this is essentially what GGG has done. Any company that says, first off, we have plans to deliver a long wanted feature, but it will take time due to technical reasons. 2, we're working on said long wanted feature, but there are still some technical problems and we're not releasing it yet. 3, we're finally releasing long said wanted feature, but there may be some technical problems associated with it. And then 4, we released long said wanted feature and it caused a bunch of really bad stuff, and so we're going to roll back some progress, maybe 1 or 2 hours of server progress time, and we're going to fix this issue ASAP. Okay, end of thing. End of quote. Any company that says those 4 things, that's praiseworthy. That's called transparent professional communication. And that ought to be praised as the industry standard rather than the exception to the rule inside our community and our profession, our industry of gaming. So GGG ought to be praised for at least these 3 things. First off, for communication, just straight up with us as a player base, how quickly they came out with an incident report on all of this happening. Again, this incident report came out in less than 24 hours from the occurrence of the problem that happened. Secondly, they ought to be praised for the accountability of mistakes inside the system, which is detailed here in the incident report, exactly what mistakes were made and the responses that took place in order to fix that. That's the third thing, which is providing clarity on goals and methods used for accomplishing and achieving the responses to the problem, i.e. the fixes to the problem that occurred. Those 3 things are 3 things that GGG actually ought to be praised on as really setting an industry standard on how to respond to problems and issues as they occur, both technically as well as community relationally wise, in terms of handling communication of said problems. This is top-notch professionalism. Those of you maybe that have complained or been upset about the rollback or about server downtime or about the inconvenience of when this happened, if that's you in your boat, I would simply ask you this. How would you have liked GGG to have handled this scenario differently other than not having any problems to begin with? Because we all can agree from the get-go of this discussion, we all would hope that there wouldn't be problems, right? That's why I laid out that everybody working on a project or a craft or a task, the goal is to make it so that way it's fully functional and doesn't break. That's always the goal. So taking that off the table, other than saying, well, just don't have the patch break things. Yes, that's always the goal. So other than that, once a patch does break things or once a technical issue does arrive, is there any way better to handle it than what GGG has actually done here? In this deployment downtime incident report? Is there any better way? Is there anything else that you would like for GGG to have done? Because to me, this looks like essentially like the industry standard. If there's a problem that comes up, you communicate both your timeline and your goals for accomplishing a desired feature. You communicate maybe some problems that may arise from it, so that way there's not unhealthy expectations built up around it. You communicate when that feature is coming out, and maybe you let people know, hey, there may be some problems. And then when there are problems, you instantly go back in and you say, we're going to fix this as soon as possible, and then you proceed actually fixing it. There are plenty of companies that stop at different points along this communication pattern. Maybe they stop right after they say, hey, we hear you want long-awaited feature, and then you never hear about it ever again, right? We've all played games where that has happened, where you've heard about a long-awaited feature, and then you never see it again. Many games that many of us could cite have that phenomenon. Then you hear about step 2. Hey, we're working on long-said feature, but there's still technical problems. Sometimes you hear, hey, we're working on it, but you don't hear why it is that it hasn't come out yet. So you start to just theorize. In the absence of a statement from a company, you start to theorize and come up with your own, fill in the blanks of why it's not out yet. Then thirdly, we're releasing long-said awaited feature and there may be technical problems. Sometimes you hear companies that simply say, hey, here's that thing that you really wanted, and they don't give you any anticipation of why there might be problems or what the plan will be if there are any problems. And so then you build an unhealthy expectation of, oh, there's not going to be any problems because, well, they haven't said there's a possibility of any problems. And so then when problems arise, there's no way to actually answer that. There's no reason for why it actually may have happened. There's no expectation for why it may have happened. And then fourthly, when the problem actually arises, many different games simply sweep it under the rug and are like, yeah, that was a problem, but now it's a feature, right? Bugs become features, right? We see that all over the place in the industry. And yet GGG right here has gone, yep, we put this feature into place and it caused a bunch of bad stuff. And yes, it's going to suck that we have to roll back a few moments of progress for different characters, but we're going to fix this issue ASAP, and we're doing it right now. And by the way, here's all the ways that we are doing it. Sometimes you'll have companies be very disingenuous and they're like, yeah, we're working on that, we're fixing it, and then the thing never comes back. The feature never comes back. They just go scrap the project, scrap all of that time. It's sunk cost fallacy. We're not going to spend any more time on that feature. So I really think GGG is setting the standard here. So if you've got feedback, if you've got ideas on how GGG could have been more professional in handling this, let me know down below in the comments. But I wish I had more time to go into this today. I don't have more time to go into this today, but happy to have a discussion on ways in which they could have been more professional. I think GGG is about as professional as can be when it comes to this particular response, and they've pretty much nailed it. Yes, the patch didn't work. Yes, it broke. Yes, there were bugs. Yes, they had to do a rollback. But I think they're being incredibly transparent, forthright, and quick on getting on top of all of these things. About as professional as any company can possibly be. So, at least in my book, if anybody in New Zealand is watching this from GGG, you guys get 2 thumbs up from me because you guys have been quick, you guys have been professional, and you guys have been on top of the communication and the handling of this. So, great job to everybody at GGG. And if you've still got a problem with anything that GGG has done for this particular problem that arose during Legion League, please, 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 don't just say that you have a problem with it. Say why you have a problem with it. Say exactly what you'd like GGG to do instead, so that way you're actually offering correction for ways in which they can be more professional and handle this better in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.